Hi, I'm Ben from Second Dynasty.
5 years ago, we launched Sleipnir, our love letter to fusion torch rocket ships, and since then, Sleipnir has become one of our most popular creations, with its modular design, stackable decks, and detailed interiors. Now, we are expanding the fleet with brand new ships for tabletops of all sizes. From the Valkyria to the Ratatosk patrol ship, the Mercurian gunship Fenrir, and the massive torpedo destroyer Nidhogg. Even Sleipnir is back with a complete overhaul. Built for tabletop gamers, these ships are printer friendly, require no supports, and are packed with detail inside and out. Our ships are scaled for 28mm miniatures. With stackable decks, you can lift off each level and spread them out on the table, giving you and your players full overview of the action. Don't have a 3D printer? No problem. We'll print for you, but get in quick while slots last. And the fleet is just getting started. Unlock new weapons, ship variations, and maybe even an entirely new starship as we push beyond our funding goals. Command your Aesir Fleet today, only on BackerKit launch.
Hi, I'm Ben from Second Dynasty.
5 years ago, we launched Sleipnir, our love letter to fusion torch rocket ships, and since then, Sleipnir has become one of our most popular creations, with its modular design, stackable decks, and detailed interiors. Now, we are expanding the fleet with brand new ships for tabletops of all sizes. From the Valkyria to the... Alright, hello everyone, it is Ben here from Second Dynasty, sitting in the dark. Let me know in the chat if you can hear my voice all right. This is my home computer. It is currently midnight. We have exactly 1 hour remaining. Well, we should have if the clock's all right. Yeah, so 60 minutes now. So, yeah, I thought I would do a finishing up live stream. We can do a little bit of a hangout. You guys can make yourselves known in the chat. You can ask questions, and we can ring in the end of the Aesir Fleet campaign, which has been running for the last 23 days, I think it is. Something like that. And yeah, it's been a journey. It's been intense. Great, you guys can hear me, so I'm just going to say a quick g'day to the people in the chat that I can see. So g'day to Solo Spirit, Pulsifier, Will Richards, Tamsin's here, Shergel is here. Nice to see you people. Hello to Bren. I assume there'll be a little bit of a stream of people popping in. Hello to Alexandre. Klessen. Dutch or Danish? Maybe a secret third option. Anyway, yeah, guys, so sorry about the shitty camera. What was that? It was almost a New Zealander. Yeah, I don't have the best equipment at home. Also, in the background, Kerensky, yes. In the background, you might occasionally hear my dog, Bailey. He is home with me. My wife is currently in Portugal seeing her parents, who are there golfing as they want to do, part of those that group of Swedish pensioners that love to chase the sun in the winter. The spring has sprung. Grass is starting to green. We've still got a frost tonight though, so I guess that gives you an idea about how things go. So we have had a massive 23 days with a campaign that just started as a spur-of-the-moment upgrade of our classic Sleipnir vessel. Here you can see the Fenrir variant. This Miocene unfortunately isn't perfect. We did have a hiccup a couple of days ago where a technical issue or user issue led to a lot of our groupings to be assigned to the wrong thing. I've mostly adjusted that for this point in time, but I can't, for example, switch on the Sleipnir version. We're stuck with the Fenrir version at the moment, and I'm not sure if the Valkyria is here or not. And if it is, I have a feeling it's like the older version. Yeah, you can see it doesn't have any of its antennae or anything like that. But not to worry, we'll be able to review a few different things. I might even take the risk of starting a second copy of Maya. Although I might be asking for it. But before anything else, I thought maybe we would just review the backer kit that we're running. I'll move over the main page here. So this is the campaign we're running. If you haven't seen it yet, I don't know how you've missed it, because I've absolutely been bombarding every channel I can think of with, you know, this campaign, so that I can get as many eyes on it as possible. And yeah, the idea of this campaign came about just by the fact that often I like to update my ships. John at least convinced me that we couldn't do it for free anymore after I spent more than a month completely gutting out and redesigning Sleipnir and Fenrir. And then we knew that we needed to run a campaign in February, March, if we were going to be able to build Persephone later in the year. Persephone is my love letter to the Nostromo and Alien and that kind of ship. It's sort of like the extension of Soul Survivor, which was very successful last year. Hey, Hazardrat, I guess would be a better way of saying that. 9:30 in the morning for you. Alright, you're in odds then. I'm guessing by that time difference. So yeah, just I'm excited for how well this campaign has done. It really has rebuffed in the last couple of days. Like, I didn't know what to expect. This is the first time we've done a crowdfunding campaign on backer kit, although we have used backer kit ever since Starship 1, our very first Kickstarter, as a form of delivery. Obviously, backer kit was not designed for STL files, which is why we later made the move to My Mini Factory, but we have used backer kit in one shape, form, or another for every campaign that we've done on Kickstarter. So I have talked to their team. They do have some built-in advertising. Does have some great benefits over Kickstarter advertising, mostly in the fact that if you run with Jellup, their partner in advertising, you're having to fork out for the ads ahead of time, whereas backer kit carries that burden for you. And also Jellup, we couldn't really see what ads they were running, but the backer kit team actually integrates like with your Meta account, so you can see what's being posted. You can actually affect it. You can comment on the media a lot easier, I feel. So they've been great partners in that respect, even if I wouldn't say their advertising has worked fantastically with STL files. And a part of that might just be the fact that, you know, the state of the world at this point in time. So I really, really appreciate you guys who have backed the campaign doing so, despite the fact that we had to put it in Swedish crowns. I know the market's been volatile. I think the value of the Swedish crown has appreciated by about 8% during the campaign. And that is why we've tried to pack all of our pledge levels with some extra material, just so that you guys feel like the pricing can really be justified. And that included the addition of a whole new ship just the other day. Sure, Gold, sorry you have to go, mate. I guess you work shifts, do you? I'll miss your quips and dad jokes. Someone else is going to have to pick up the slack. So, yeah, just... We've been running this for so long it feels like now. I guess we've got our stream going on in the background. I want to make sure that the sound is off on that one so that you guys don't hear it. We don't want another Albin situation. Obviously, Albin is not with us tonight because it is currently, 12 in the morning. Oh, you're kidding. You don't go to bed in the middle of the afternoon. See, Shogul, you have established the fact that you can't be trusted. I probably should have assumed you were making a joke, to be honest. Of course. Just under an hour to midnight here in the UK. Yeah, exactly. We're an hour ahead of you guys. So, and then obviously, was it 2 more nights and then we go on to summertime. So that's going to mess with things as well. Speaking of why we ended up with a 1 a.m. finishing time, that is actually, I'm going to say, one of the downsides of Back-A-Kit, in that the time zones are locked to LA, like West Coast US. They're quite confused. The feedback on the pages sometimes insinuates it's in your own time zone, and then it switched back. We did have issues launching with the correct time, streaming at the correct time, and it is just one of those annoyances where if you don't happen to live in that area, you end up being way off on the times and that sort of thing. So, and then also the way that the community is set up is not that intuitive. They do have like this leaderboard sort of situation where you can make comments, but we found not too many people got involved with that. I do think in some senses the Kickstarter, just having a chat area like a forum, is maybe for the best. So I would still rank it higher than Frontiers, for example, that we've used. Frontiers is great when My Mini Factory are advertising on your behalf. When they're not, pretty dead. Here there has been a constant stream of people coming in. So, let me just go over really briefly what we've added, and then we can take a look in 3D. Just get things going, counting down to the final. There is actually a chance that we will unlock the final stretch goal. We are only 4,000 crowns from that, 4,110 crowns away from that. So actually another 3 or 4 backers, not incredibly impossible considering the fact that over the last 8 hours we've had another 30 or so. So if we got 3 in the course of this next 49 minutes, we may hit that, and that would mean all of the stretch goals I've published have been achieved. As always happens with these campaigns, I absolutely work, and I put in, I think, 14 days in a row prior to the campaign, maybe an average of 10 to 12 hours a day. So it's going to be, tomorrow I'm not going to do sweet bugger all. Or rather, I'm going to do sweet bugger all. So, I think it's a well-deserved rest. I don't quite know how the post-campaign works with Back-A-Kit, but considering the fact that they started as a pledge manager, I assume it has some form of post-campaign pledging available. We will move over to My Mini Factory in probably 3 weeks, I'd say. We need time for the funds to clear. We also, despite the fact that all of the ships are technically printable in the exterior, there are a few things that needs to be changed, and our current plan of thinking is that Albin will complete the conversions, and I will move on to Persephone, if that is what we're indeed going to do. I've hinted that I'm having a meeting, I guess it's next week. I thought it was last night. Poor John turned up for the meeting along with me, and I'm like, oh, it says the 26th there. So my bad. But we can't talk about that yet, but it may affect if we can do Persephone or not. If we can't do Persephone, it's for a good reason and a worthy collaboration, I think, but we will get back to that. I still think too there's a good chance that we will do a traveller campaign, but it won't be until the end of the year after we've finished deliveries for the last one. I really don't want to end up in a situation where we can fairly be criticised for not being finished with a delivery.
And the reason why that's a little out of our control is the physical prints take some time to make. Obviously, most of our team is focused on creating the STL files, but we know how it looks. So we decided to completely revamp Sleipnir and make official the Fenrir gunship, which is it was originally designed to turn the Sleipnir into something approximating a certain donkey from Don Quixote. I'm sure most people get the references, and obviously the shape of the ship looks quite familiar, I'm sure. There are some distinct variations, but they're not massive. Here we talk about using design language rather than copying something outright. So if you wanted your form of Mercurian legitimate salvage, the Fenrir would be the one. But yeah, when we did the revision, it took a month, revised both Sleipnir and Fenrir, and there will be a number of updates. There's an entire section devoted to it. If you own an old school Sleipnir, what you'll be getting for free and what you would be getting in the paid update. So it's not free for everything, but like if it's say the new engine types, we're putting them for free. The improved PDCs, those will be included, for example, and they'll probably get rolled out before we do the full launch as well. So yeah, what Shergol says, Rocinante was a horse, Dapple was a donkey. Well, so it's me. The most recent version I saw of Don Quixote was an abstract animation. I do just want to cheers briefly to you guys. I have a tiny bit of beer. It's the only one I have, so I'm not plastered or anything, but cheers to you guys. I will save one last sip there. Switch over to cola until then. Just needing to make sure that I keep some fluids in my mouth because I'm otherwise going to start coughing. So the largest ship is the Nidhogg torpedo boat. The lore that I came up with is that these are built by the Aesir Corporation, which is a conglomerate made from Scandinavian companies, I guess, that have formed a shipbuilding company situated mostly around Mercury. You can ignore this lore or drop it into your game, but essentially imagine if you took Danish shipbuilding, Swedish military development, and I guess Norwegian capital, and combine them all together, and that's basically what you're looking at as far as the lore is concerned. So these ships would be not like, they would mostly be used for paramilitaries or mercenary companies or merchant marines, that sort of thing, not necessarily with the most the strongest factions in the solar system. So yeah, that was kind of the thinking behind it. It does have these sharp angular features. All of the names are based on creatures of Norse mythology, with one slight exception, but it's still an Old Norse word for that, but I'll explain it in a sec. So the Nidhogg, and then the other descriptions is based off the Swedish Navy. So like JS is their designation for a torpedo destroyer. And kind of equivalent to Second World War classifications of ships. They're a bit smaller than they would have been, but hey, these are also, have different dimensions to them and much smaller crews. Anyway, Nidhogg torpedo destroyer, it has 3 different tubes with about, I think, 10 torpedoes each. I was hoping to do some torpedo variations, but we just had too many cool ideas, and when you go into a campaign, especially with backer kit, it's hard to know where you're going to hit. And, for us, this campaign could have been, barely financing at all, Just going to do a refresh, see if we haven't got anything more in. I think we're set at this current level for now. We'll see if anything else comes in. I'm sure you guys will let me know if we do hit that 500,000 mark, so I can unlock that last stretch goal. Then we've got the Fenrir, which is a gunship militarized version. The Sleipnir refit is a versatile ship that could be used for auxiliary purposes. It could be, modified for warfare as well. A lot of these systems are cross-compatible, and I'll show you in a little bit the little icon that I've put into the stretch goal, so you can easily identify what's compatible with what. But technically you could mix and match many of these parts anyway, so if you own all of the ships you could make some pretty impressive different variations and Frankenstein it up, especially if you don't care about the tile pattern matching as well. And then we have the Ratatosk, which is a patrol boat, so it's got a single torpedo launcher and 2 PDCs. I really love the engine section of that. We're going to have a look at these in 3D in a sec. I must say the Ratatosk is the least developed of the ships. So every other vessel has a complete interior mapped out. The Valkyria is 100% test printed, pretty much ready to go. That'll definitely be out first thing. The Hainer is not test printed yet, but is feature complete, so it could be printed and made printable in just a matter of days. But yeah, we'll get to that one. This is the latest entry, and it was based on the Hyperion Sphere, so I've kind of sold it as a collaboration between Aesir Corporation and Hyperion, so it's actually called the Aesir Hyperion AG2 supply vessel, an auxiliary designation. And it is an RCS tanker. So when you've got your fleet doing maneuvers, sure, you've got those nice fusion torches out the back, but you still need to refill the RCS, the reaction control system, to actually maneuver the ship. So this thing would, restock and resupply these larger vessels, particularly after maneuvers. And then you have the Valkyria shuttle, which is technically not a fusion torch ship. It's meant to be a light transport that can get cargo, either like act as a ship's boat, act as a shuttle to land in a gravity well and whatnot. We're kind of calling it the football for obvious reasons, and I actually really love this ship. So yeah, let's get into a bit more detail. Here you can see I've actually done turntables of all of the ships to get a better idea. And the way that we set up these antennae, I'm really proud of. I think it's something we're going to use a lot of in the future. The Hanna as well, or Henna, it actually means the hen. So the RCS tanks are the hen's eggs, I guess. There's no mythological hens in Norse mythology. There are roosters, but it didn't seem appropriate. So we just use the Old Norse for hen. You would probably spell it normally with the the AE that is combined into one, what we would call air in Swedish. But yeah, that's basically as close as we could get. It's the Super Chicken. I really love the way it looks. It's an ugly duckling. It's got some asymmetry, despite its capsule-shaped form. I was just going to call it the Hyperion capsule, but decided to go with the hen instead. Ratatosk here, I kind of love the engines on this the most of all of the ships. And it isn't really until you can get a better view of the ship in 3D that you can really appreciate the shapes. I realized making the Sleipnir that a lot of the angles, when I built the Sleipnir the first time, it was in 2020, and it was coming off the back of Chimera, which was a very, very modular ship. And I applied the same principles to Sleipnir, and it did have a few kits that could help with that sort of thing. However, one of the flaws of it was the way I was doing the wall inserts and that sort of thing. I just would not do it that way today. I think I built it with the intention that you could customize it and then never provided additional customization options. So with the refit, I'll show you in a little bit, but I gutted out some of the wall inserts. I don't know if maybe there's some left in by mistake, but we'll have a look. Here you can see the print of the Ratatosk. We didn't get all these out and painted in time. There was just no time. I'm sure we would have done a lot better if we had the time for it. This is a great sort of compromise ship. And the great thing with tail sitters too is they don't take up much space on the table or when being stored, because they can be stored standing. So even Nidhogg, which is massive, it's like 95 centimeters, so 3 foot 2 inches. It really doesn't take up that much space because its, base is only about 8 by 8 inches or something like that. There's a few overhangs and whatnot, but we can fit like 4 ships in a windowsill if we need to. So let's just get the turntable going here. Neil J. Voice says, really like the Ratatosk. Thanks, man. And Timothy Hickson says, still great progress for such a short window of development time. The beauty of having been established more than 7 years ago at this point means that we have a massive, massive library. I mean, you can see that with our crazy collector pledge. Like, I always feel bad offering it, even though it's like $6,000 or $7,000 worth of material. But we have over 15,000 files, and whilst we try to make parts unique and new-ish, we're able to kit bash kind of the same way that, the old school sci-fi modelers did by buying just a bunch of different rocket models or tank models and grabbing bits and pieces and making Nernies and Greeblies, giving a sense of scale to a Star Destroyer or the Nostromo and whatnot. So we can actually pull a lot of things in and make them a lot quicker because we don't have to always go from scratch. It can also be like, oh, this RCS thruster we can repurpose as a smaller thruster, or we can double the size and add some features. And yeah, there is a lot more of that sort of thing, even though it's always more work than you think. Nidhogg's kind of hard to take pictures of because of its size, but I can tell you it looks so cool in person. I don't think our videos or even still pictures really help with that. And even Sleipnir, I really love the look of this thing. Of course, the Sleipnir refit is completely backwards compatible with all the stretch goals that we made. You can still use them, but now it does support grid forge flooring, which has been a godsend. I absolutely love the system. Old school, us new school, kit bash digitally now. Yeah, I guess so. Boiled egg is what? Cooked egg. Yeah, that's entirely correct in Swedish. Might be slightly different in Old Norse. But egg is probably the same, I'd say. It's Proto-German. Refit looks great as well. To be honest, it's mostly a paint job. The big differences in the engines. That's the most visible area. And the RCS. It's really subtle, most of the changes. Here we have a printed version of the new command deck of the Fenrir. So the interior is essentially identical on Sleipnir, but the Sleipnir does not have the PDCs by default. And you can just see the additional detail we've packed into there. I think the old school version is almost embarrassing in comparison. I think we might have a comparison picture later. And then, of course, the Fenrir with this beautiful new engine. Yeah, also, I don't think there's a single part that hasn't been touched in some way, shape, or form. Some of it's super subtle as well. Hard to see here, but like for example, the pattern on the nose here, you can see now that the brickwork is all symmetrical. Before it was kind of just all angled because I didn't know what I was doing. Obviously, I'm a lot better at modeling. Albin's a lot better at modeling as well. Let me get this back. Where are we here? And I really love how these ships look when you get the cutaway effect here. So let's see. Refit looks great as well. Really impressed with all of these designs. Thank you, man. So you can see the upper sort of loft as well. I don't know if we ended up going for railings in here. We might put them in before the end of things, but I don't think we did it in the test print. Here's a render sort of forced perspective version looking in the command deck. Before it just felt a bit claustrophobic. The wall itself, sorry, the floor was not attached to the walls, so you had to awkwardly lift off the top and it was just floating on top of the airlock deck. Wasn't great. The way that the sliding airlock doors printed all in one piece, there was horrible overhangs. It required a lot of cleanup or supports. Oh, and I don't think I've even mentioned yet that these are like 99.5% support free. So I think the only thing that needs supports are these chairs, and that's it in the entire ship, in the entire collections. Obviously miniatures are another thing, but you know, we've gotten way better at that. Here's the new engineering bay. And here I can kind of point out some of the differences. You can kind of see the leftovers here. See this line here? That's where the wall used to be, and it used to slot in here as a separate piece. But by building these control panels into the walls, we've been able to just save a tiny bit of floor space, and that's enough that you can get a miniature into each of these squares. So all of a sudden, an area that was super claustrophobic, you couldn't really get miniatures in. Most places you can have miniatures now going around the entire ring. And the floor plating uses the grid forge system too, so you can just pull out parts that you don't need. If you, for example, didn't want all these machine tables because you want more room to run around in, you could hot swap out this machinery for just the floor plates. And of course, if you wanted to customize the interior. This is one of the small differences. I can tell this is Fenrir because this lift ends here. In the Sleipnir, the lift goes all the way down to the ground. But Fenrir ends here, and you have a hatch that's kind of hidden here from view. But yeah, I love the way these came out compared to the originals. Now I think we're moving on to the Valkyria interiors. So you've got the top deck. So the concept for this is kind of like the night shuttle from the Expanse, where it's just, you know, the night was the Canterbury's server shuttle to the ship that the crew gets trapped in before they eventually get their own legitimate salvage. So you've kind of got the command deck up there. You've got this living area with a few bunks, storage lockers, fresh arm. Then you've got your cargo bay and airlock. Someone has apparently, I think Albin just wanted to show a little bit of the airlock, so not putting in the doors. But yeah, they've vented the whole ship by the looks of things. And this really cool engineering section that's just full of engines and RCS tanks, and yeah, it really came out looking very busy but cool. Let's see what else we got. Albin just gave this to me today, which is a photo booth version of the fully printed ship. It looks so crisp and good. It's kind of a shame that we haven't sold more of the physical products, but I also get that they're quite expensive. The Valkyria is about 1.2 kilos, so just slightly over 1 1/5 rolls of filament. So you could get away with 2 kilos really easily. I'm sure John will optimize it even more before all is said and done. But these antennae, I really love the way they came out. Then we have this beautiful new rendition of the Haina. Or Henna is technically probably a better way to pronounce it. So again, kind of based on the Hyperion Sphere. The upper deck is pretty much identical to that. The next deck down would have been what was in the middle deck, but now there's additional bunks, there's additional lockers, there's like an eating area, a little kitchenette. Deck below, you've got upper cargo deck, lower cargo deck with the airlock, and this is a sort of like fuel belt. And we might load this up and have a look at it in just a little bit. Let's see, I want to make sure, yep, let's just, looking at where the conversations are, I can see John's talking to one of the sculptors. Nothing important. Then you get down into engineering, you actually do have a fusion core in this one. And that's what we're working towards, that's what we're hoping we hit the 500k for. Some people have been asking if I will put out the fusion core anyway. I don't know at this stage. Maybe. What I'm thinking is if we put it on Frontiers, which is what my manufacturer wants us to do rather than a pledge manager, we could possibly justify unlocking that with whatever funds we might get in on top of the original. Also, the beauty of my manufacturer is then we can set the pricing in US dollars and it won't be as volatile, hopefully. It'll be volatile for us rather than you guys. I did the same with the Nidhogg today. Massive, massive ship. This took longer than expected. We can take a look, but we've got some crew, living space, right with a tiny little thin wall between that and a bunch of different torpedoes. I'm not sure I would love sleeping in there. Then we have the captain's quarters, officers' quarters, dropping down into the bridge, which is a multi-level bridge as well. In hindsight, I would have liked to made this just slightly like one square wider, so you could have like a pillar-like bridge maybe instead. So the lower level of the bridge is here. Then we have the galley, which is just a little bit larger than on the Sleipnir. You can see 8 at once, or probably more at a squeeze. Then we've got your airlock level. Actually has the suits in the render, but I took them out of the scene because they were just like 600 meg each. Then we have crew quarters, and just a bunch of different bunks for 8. And then we get into the cargo area, and this has the largest cargo bay of every of these ships, so it has like an upper area. You could of course customize this so it doesn't have all of this extra level, or if you wanted to have additional cargo space up here in a loft, you could do that. Next level down is the main cargo deck. You can kind of see the airlock on the outside there for the cargo lock. Then we actually have another cargo bay underneath, accessed by a lift. And the level beneath that we have the machine shop, which also has a little bit of space for cargo. Then we get into the engineering bay. You can see the top of the fusion core there. You can see the little hatch down to access the level below. And then I did the same with the Fenrir, which I think we've mostly looked at in the past. These images really aren't. I wonder if this is the full size version. It is. It's a little bit larger here, 1200 pixels. So you can kind of see the bridge, airlock. You've got living quarters there. You've got your med bay here. I realize now that Nidhogg doesn't have a med bay. Maybe one of those cargo levels could be the med bay instead. In any case, at present it doesn't have a med bay. That might be a bad oversight. I think we do have the room to change that, possibly. So what I would do in that case is probably swap out, where are we? This lower cargo deck for a med bay there. I think would probably be the go-to move. or move some crew quarters down to here and put the med bay on this level instead. So there are options. Of course, you guys could do that just by customizing what we already have. How did the Nidhogg pass the health and safety checkup? Good question. Torpedoes close by are fine as long as you don't snore too loud. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. So you got your med bay there, you've got your galley, you have your quarters. Again, I think this is mostly officer quarters on this level. Upper cargo bay, lower cargo bay, engineering / machine shop, which is quite claustrophobic. But I do like the fact that the Fenrir and the Sleipnir have the kind of like isolated. They're a little bit wider in engineering, and so thusly have this sort of walled off fusion core, so you can reenact, Star Trek 2. And you've got your fusion core down the bottom there for the single massive engine. Don't know what's going on with that ring. What is that? I wonder if that's just oddly colored or something. I don't know. It doesn't look that bad, but it's a noticeable flaw to me. All right, let's get on to our stretch goals and achievements. Sure says that cargo space in the machine shop is probably full of spare parts and open lock clips. Yeah, or supported clips. So we have unlocked a total of, I think, 8 stretch goals, which is a hell of a lot better than it was a week ago, where I think we only had 5. So there is a chance. I'm going to hop up to the top of the page because we've got 20 minutes left. Let's see. I don't think we're going to hit it, guys. We've only had 1 additional backer, maybe not even 1. So, yeah. Don't think we're going to hit the last one just yet. But what we have unlocked so far is the sensor greebles. I'd really love to show you guys how these work in just a little bit. Some RCS variants. We've got a weaponization pack for Valkyria, so you can actually arm it. This would not be like a full motion PDC, but rather more like I guess how the sort of fixed turrets in like Star Citizen would work, where they've got a gimbal turrets, I guess. You'd still probably have to aim the ship a little bit to use them. We've got some PDC variations, so you're left with more choice. And of course, if you backed in the first 48 hours, you also have our Space Whiz variant. We have the Ratatosk mission module. We have the railgun emplacement, which has been finished since the last time we talked. And we just unlocked the interior cargo this morning. And this is what we're working towards. And you can kind of see here these little logos. It shows you which ships these are compatible with. I do kind of hope we hit this. I would like to see it finished. It's kind of cool and gnarly, and the way it fits together is kind of clever. Each individual one of these fits together with a supported clip, so it is also support free. So that'll fit to all of the ships, including aside from Valkyria. So that also includes the hangar. It's not included in this little graphic. RCS works on all of them. PDC variants by default works on the Nidhogg, Fenrir, and Ratatosk, but of course there are parts for the Sleipnir and Valkyria to make it armed. The sensor greebles will work on all of the ships. They kind of just plug into any open lock port. The hangar in particular has a bunch of those ports. Valkyria weapon mounts, technically designed for Valkyria, but because of the shape of these, they actually will fit on the nose of most of the ships, except for the hangar. Let's see. Tamsin says, on smaller ships in World War II, the wardroom / crew messes were often used as the medbay. Right. There you go. But I kind of feel like on a ship like Nidhogg, it should probably have a medbay of its own. Or at least a section of a deck dedicated to it. The Ratatosk mission module. I don't know how the insides will be, but it dramatically changes the profile of the ship with additional cargo space, or potentially in the future, maybe as like a tribes offering, we could do like a landing ship that can attach, like a boarding craft. And then the railgun emplacement, I showed off on my last stream the basic concept of what we were thinking. Album finished it off in the beginning of this week. Bren says, just make the core a purchase. I'd love to see the stretch goal, but I would just purchase it. We'll see what we'll do. Honestly, the main thing for me before I'm going to make any more decisions is to have a big, long sleep. Because I've been burning the candle at both ends lately. And again, this technically will be built so you could replace a torpedo launcher, and technically you can make all of the ships aside from Valkyria compatible with it. The interior cargo uses grid forge. Technically, it is possible to use this with any of our grid forge tiles and frames. There will be some refinements. You can kind of see here that this sort of netting, it was a pain in the butt to make happen. It's not a finished product. That needs some tie downs, and it's going to be a challenge to make it print without any support. So we'll see what happens there. We might be asking too much. And then we have the core that we're working towards. So never know, something could happen in the next 15 minutes, but I'm going to assume we might have to unlock that on my mini factory in a couple of weeks. Alex Klesson says, would it be possible to put a second mission module on the opposite side? Yes, it would, but you would have to essentially, I believe so is the answer. You would probably have to make the ship another deck taller. It will interfere with the airlock, although I'm giving this an exterior airlock as well. So we'll see how it goes with the final product. I think so is my answer. We can kind of look at it in here actually. So I think hopefully it's in the right place. You would have to replace this torpedo launcher, of course, and you would have to get rid of this airlock. So either you would need to add an additional deck with that airlock on, otherwise it's going to cover it. But yes, it would occupy the same place, and you can actually see if we turn it off that these are just extra parts here, so the actual ship shape will fit it. So the answer is a clear yes, I guess. Yes, you can. And I believe it's also compatible with Nidhogg, technically. So you might have to modify it a little bit, but it would sit under here. And I'd be worried about it maybe clipping against the PDC. So maybe you would have to get rid of the PDC. But they're quite similar. They're not entirely the same. You can see here that the crown is just a little different on the Ratatosk, and of course the Nidhogg has 2 torpedo tubes in there. So I can take a look at those in just a sec, and maybe I will try opening a second copy of Maya so we can look at the Hainer as well. Let's see. For the netting, it might be better to just do it for printing flat in TPU. Well, that's how I'm doing the hanging stuff. So we'll see. Maybe doing the net flat and then using a heat gun to melt it over the top is probably the most ultimate version. Say if you made like the netting in PLA and then the cargo itself using a harder material that's a little bit more heat resistant. Let's see. Here's Hainer here somewhere. There we go. Open. We're really tempting fate here, having 2 copies of Maya open at once. So that's all of the stretch goals, and then I did put in a pledge guide. You could get individual ships, except for the Hainer. It's not technically a pledge, I just realized, but you could always get the add-ons only pledge for like 10 crowns. It's like $1, and then just add it if you only wanted it by itself. Timothy Hickson says, my wife is really going to love a fire hazard tag being to my 3D printing hobby. You know what? I would say that FDM machines are incredibly safe. I've never had an issue where heat, like the worst it's done is just melt a glob of plastic. It's never started a fire. I can't even see how it would. Unless there's like an electrical fire or something like that. So I feel quite confident in saying it's not really. And if you're running PLA, it doesn't even smell. It just makes a bit of a racket. So you want it in a good, fairly climate-controlled room, or yeah, I don't know. Printing has evolved so much since 2017 when I started with my FlashForge Creator Pro. It was like a 10,000 crown printer, like $1,000 printer. What you can get, like, I don't like supporting Chinese companies, but I have to kind of give it to Bamboo Labs. At the moment, honestly, I think they're better than Prusa. I'm not super interested in printers themselves. I just want it to do the bloody job. And the most headache-free printers we own are our P1P. And the A1 Mini has been more of a headache because sometimes the filament can get stuck. But the P1P has just been a workhorse. Auto cleaning features for the nozzle. All of these features, like if someone was coming from a FlashForge Creator Pro today to like a Bamboo Labs P1P, they would think it's a miracle machine. It's also 5 times faster. So yeah, the pledges include all of these add-ons. I think I've explained this a number of times. All new ships now does include the Haina and the miniatures for each of the new ships. That is if you don't want to fork out the extra to get the additional add-ons and the Fenrir and Sleipnir refit. The ships have been altered drastically. It is mostly cosmetic. It's up to you whether or not you think it's worth getting the refit version of the Sleipnir. You won't get the new interiors if you do not upgrade. But you're not losing that much. I still think the work we did was quite solid. There's probably still some built-in supports and that sort of thing that we never mess with these days. But yeah, ship miniatures, you know what to expect. 1 to 270, which is about X-Wing scale. And tactical, which is whatever scale it's going to be that we can stick it onto a 1-inch hex for tactical maneuvering. Then, of course, we have 3 other add-ons. The Collector, this is only a fragment of our ships. I love this thing. But we don't have any Traveller ships here. It does include everything we've ever made, including Traveller stuff. So we'll be paying the licensing fees on that for the Traveller portion of things. Over 800 products at this stage. All the STL files. Yeah, it's a crazy price, but it's also actually a massive discount. I think you end up paying 10% or something like that. Let's move on to add-ons. The new ones that are exclusive, 24 new RCS variants. These are completely unique from the stretch goal versions as well, and are compatible with all of our ships that previously supported them. So that will include Typhon as well. And actually, many of these you could fit onto like the Erebus. Erebus? I'm so tired at this point in time. It is 10 to 1. Miniatures I've already explained. We have new spaceship miniatures, spacesuit miniatures, and this cargo boarding craft that is the brainchild of Alban. It is larger than either one of us than I was expecting, because he based it off the cargo that we had from Sleipnir. If there wasn't a miscommunication, I might have suggested that he instead uses a standard, cargo container, like 2 by 4 inches. But in this case, it's going to be a bit larger. Our old Sleipnir crew got 7 new poses for laying down, so this brings them in line with our Traveller heroic miniatures now. So all 7 original Sleipnir crew. There were the first 5 crew, and then also a stowaway and our engineer got added to the roster before the campaign was over. So, yeah, just delivery. I probably need to look over this a little bit. The plans will be that as soon as we have, obviously the ships are printable in a state, but they are a bit of a mess when it comes to files. So a lot of the work that's coming now is actually going to be making it presentable for you guys. The idea, though, is that we should have our build plates out with the core files. Valkyrie 100%. I would say Fenrir 100%. Sleipnir probably 100% as well, since it's not that different from Fenrir. Nidhogg technically is finished. Ratatosk will be the last one because honestly I don't have an interior for Ratatosk yet. I intended to, but I don't know what to tell you guys. I've hit a wall, basically, and there's been a lot going on behind the scenes as well. What, we're up to 400? What? Are we really that close? 498,520 with 10 minutes to go. So technically, we only need one more person to go all in. Is that it? Congrats on the successful backer kit. Wish it rolled off the tongue better. Yeah. Something's off on the timer. What? Is it saying it's finished? I'm seeing it's got 6 minutes left. Or it should have. Let's see. Yeah, 9 minutes left it says here. So that's a bit off. So we'll see what it does. Oh, this does have something called the backer train. So the campaign will not end if people keep pledging within 10 minutes after the last pledge. So it stays open. Whoops. Sorry for that. Hope that didn't make too much of a noise. So it is possible that before it expires, like for example now it's saying there's 8 minutes and 24 seconds left. So that's quite possibly why it's saying the time differently. Anyway, I don't want to look at this infinite loop of myself. I'm 1 pixel tall there. Let's go back to Maya for a second. Wait, did this not open? Why did you not open? I said to open, please. Did I just not click? Oh, I know what's going on. Syncing is paused. So we're just going to have to put up with some syncing issues there, I guess. So there might be some pop-ups. But yeah, we can take a quick look at the Nidhogg. Let's turn. Whoops! I turned the entire ship off. Let's turn the nose off. Can look down into that sort of crew area there with the missiles. I did add this door. I think it adds a nice piece of asymmetry, like an emergency exit. It does use these thinner ladder wells, so not as handicap accessible as some of the other ships. But hey, it is a military vessel. There's even detail in the missile holders and launch systems now. Captain's cabin here. Got a nice little bed. Here I haven't put a pillow in. I think just because of the way it's going to print, it's maybe better to have it separately. Also, I was toying around with the idea originally that maybe we could just have the pillow and blanket separately. That way you could add your own variation depending on whether you wanted the bed to be made well or, put a person on or make it messy, whatever. No smoking on that deck then. I'm pretty sure a cigarette ain't going to cut it. I'm pretty sure too, this isn't Aliens, so you're probably not allowed to smoke on the ship. It took me a long time to get the final configuration of this bridge done. So we've got the upper deck. There's a tiny little bit of mesh work here for these screens, but I do like the addition of these supported clip mounted wall mounts. We can do a lot of things with these. Let's see, is this going to open up this time? I'm still not sure why this isn't doing anything. Oh, it feels like it's doing something. It might have crashed. So if we look at the next level down, it probably does need one of those sort of like map projectors or something like that. I'm not sure, but yeah. Got some crew positions in there. Got your mess. You've got your... So these are all based off the original Sleipnir designs, but they have been modified in kind of subtle and clever ways. You've got your airlock level there with the suit lockers now made so that, you know, all of the actual... These are print in place for the actual weapons lockers, but they should be fairly easy to paint. We do try to think about painting. Let's see. Something's going on here. Okay, that's opened up. Let's turn off our grid. And our grid there. I don't know what's with this additional copy of Maya all of a sudden, but I don't want to tempt fate either. And I don't think we need that. So we'll look at that in a second. Because I will probably blather on until about 1:15, I think, something like that. So we should have 1 minute left or 3 minutes left, something like that. Would be really great if we get that last thing. Wait, what? Might be up forever waiting for the countdown. That's a good thing if that's the case, but I don't think it will be. So I think, yeah, there we go. So that was the airlock level. Underneath, we've got this crew deck. Then we've got our cargo decks. And this, I think, will convert into a med lab. Maybe it'll just be like this section, that's med lab. I don't know. And then you can store your medical waste and that there. Workshop. Engineering bay. Kind of this I was working on stream a couple of weeks ago as well. This sort of machinery. I guess like a pellet holder or something. And then you have the main drive section. I can give you guys a squiz at the alternatives here. Let's turn on Nidhogg again. Let me know if we make that 500k as well. That would be great if we do. You can kind of see the final effect now of Nidhogg with that railgun. Again, to compensate, it's got these thrusters on the back. You've got your batteries to charge, independent power supply, everything self-contained. And the idea being that that could be replacing one of these as well, if you wanted to add it to a different ship. It does take up 3 different, it's across 3 different decks. I did it, baby. What do you mean I did it, baby? Does that mean we did 500,000? Shit. Nice. The magic number. Oh, that's wonderful, guys. Thank you so much. Cheers to you. Cheers. That's kind of relieving. That means we've hit over 50,000. Unless the arse has fallen out of the US dollar overnight. That could also have happened, but... Well, I guess no, it's Swedish crowns. We get that anyway. But, yeah. Wow, guys, thank you so much. Let's change that graphic now while we can. I'm going to do it on my other screen here. Just so that we can update. We do have a bit of a technical issue here. I just realized. If we want to update that little graphic here, we need to open Photoshop. And right now I have what appears to be 3 copies of my or is it 2? I don't know. I'm just gonna close it off for the time being. Hope for the best. And we need to open up Photoshop, which is there, so we can fix that graphic. Oh, any tribers here? 322 back. Is 22 the magic number? Yeah, any Tribers? I was working on this earlier, so the rest of my month is going to be turning this into next month's vehicle. So we're going a little bit more alien. Thinking a combination of like maybe some kind of Macross aliens with like what's the bad dudes from Yamato called again? Like Gamulus, something like that. Anyway, just a little preview there. What we want actually is this. And we also want to open the recent, let's see, maybe it's here somewhere. I'll just go open it manually, I think. So we don't want to be there, we want to be in here, stretch goals, open here. We just want to go into our layer and turn on the unlocked effect. Unlocked effect, where are you? I don't see it. There. So we just go File, Save, then we go Export, Quick Export as PNG. We're going to overwrite that. And hopefully, actually, I think that was the wrong folder. Yeah, Products and Pledges instead of Stretch Goals. Replace that. We go and kill this layer. We relink to File. Choose that one, File, Save, and then Export, Quick Export. That's this thing. Now I need to very quickly on the other side of things, just go to, let's see, I want to go to a story, stretch goals and achievements, and we'll switch out. Actually, no, we want to go to the introduction there, and we're just gonna switch out the graphic. I'm sorry you guys can't see this, but I don't particularly want to show everything. I'm just frightened I'll end up in a section that's got customer information or something. That's a massive no-no. There we go, save that, and then I should just be able to hit save, and if you refresh it will have refreshed there. Now we go and change the add-ons section. And I just don't know if we can change this page once the campaign stops. Now let's see, that was add-ons, not stretch goals. There we go. Stretch goals, and then we can delete upcoming because we've released the Fusion Core. And we go and add the graphic to that. There we go. And that should be it. Might just replace the last graphic as well. There we go. Open and save. And we should be able to go to our page and do a refresh. Oh man, we got another backer. That's awesome. I think you guys actually mentioned that. It's just I was a bit preoccupied. Let's see. Hey, Overboard. Do we have backers back out? Yeah, some backers did back out. It happens. I think we've dropped maybe 10 or 15 pledges, something like that. This is a completely normal thing that occurs over the course of... Yeah, I can see 17 people have cancelled. But what you see is the amount of people that are there now. So, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, I don't know if it's worth it for, you know, these awesome spaceships. Yeah, they're cool, but it's a lot of money. Also, you know, it is almost 10% more expensive than it was 3 weeks ago. I can kind of understand. We also tried to stick as much cool stuff in there as possible. Let's get rid of Photoshop now. Memory hog. And then open up Maya again. What do you guys want to see one last time? Do you want to see the... Which ship should we look at before I finish up the stream? I guess technically if someone backs in the next, 4 minutes and 38 seconds, this keeps going. Hey Marcus, thank you for the congrats. I'm kind of glad, like it's late night, but it's nice that the wife is in Portugal so I can just talk. And now I can finish my beer. That's the best part. Well, beer and beer. It's a pale ale. There we go. Addicts Batty, pale ale. Only a 5.6. Funny, I usually drink IPAs, but for some reason they only make small bottles in that version, so I found this one because it's only like $2 at Systembolaget, as opposed to I usually drink Lagunitas, which is like $2.50 but for 2/3 the amount of beer. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, but this is like decent compromise taste wise, but Lagunitas is like my favorite. Anyway, where did I put the stream? You want to see the Valkyria? Okay, I will load up the Valkyria. Hopefully it is synced. No one else said anything, so let's see. Valkyria has lots of potential. Let's look at this. It says recover, but this is Albin's baby for the most part. I designed the exterior, he put the interior together. I think he did a really good job. And I have to say thank you very much to both Albin and John. John has really kept things going on in the background to make sure that we keep... and by the way, we're extremely close to being completely finished with the 5th Frontier War. We approved the Zidani robots, and even the community miniature is finished, and is just going to be sent over to us. That's who John was talking with. I can kind of show that off as well. Let's see, where did that open in? There. Open link there. There's one pose for our seated dude. A little bit more detail in the head than we normally have. And then, where did I put it? Just quickly. The other guy. There we go. Open link. And put it there. So there's this other dude. So sorry for the distraction. I just thought it'd be a good thing whilst we load everything up. Let's clear this scene of some of the crap. Alvin and I do work slightly different. And I think we just want to temporarily turn off in the viewport our lights. Yeah, that should get rid of most of the things. Oh, look, he actually has this thing in here, so you can get a better idea. It's quite large, though, in comparison. So, yeah, based on the original cargo, but from Sleipnir. So you've got your bottom hatch here that allows access from the bottom. We don't actually have a landing gear on this thing at this point in time. I don't know if we'll add an option in the future. I imagine like these flaps might open up and deploy some landing gears. But these lovely RCS tanks here, distribution pipes. Really love the way this ended up looking. Let me see, I need my chat back. At some point it will need an additional deck for a bus version. Oh, the Valkyria, yeah, you can just continue to stack it. And actually, many of the parts are compatible. You could also, I think you could put the belt from the Haina on it as well. So yeah, we've got that deck. Let's see, where are his decks? I do need to be careful here. Let's see, what layer are you on? Pasted boarding crab. Alright, this is very unsorted. This is a mess. Let's see, we'll turn off the top deck. And it looks like we can put on the mid deck here. I really love these corner ladders. Like, look at this ladder well that he did. I think that's a really clever solution. And you can still fit a miniature on. It might be getting close to the top. But, really nice, I feel. And you've got all these pump systems and that. It's nice and busy. Still print support free. Gotta love that, right? Next deck up. Presumably there would be some kind of hatch that closes here, so we might modify this so it just looks like that last rung has a rib or something, where an airlock could seal. So you got your cargo bay here, and then your airlock. Then next level up, you've got your sort of living area, and you could, put some additional passengers there. There's 4 beds, 1 hygiene unit, I guess you could call it as well. And then you've got just the loft upstairs, accessed by ladder well. We did figure out a nice way to just use a single tile for the ladder wells. Time's up. All right, so we're finished. All right, guys, that is an awesome achievement. 322 people, 501,920 crowns, which I think if we take this amount, we could do a simple SEK to USD, and we can just get the number there. Oh, what bullshit. What bloody bullshit. It's fallen. It's fallen below 1 crown. Oh, well. Basically $50,000. That's mildly annoying, but yeah, we're in Sweden. We're gonna go with that. So yeah, just that's the top of Valkyria, and I'm just gonna quickly open up the new ship, because I feel like it really does deserve being showed off real quick. Because I'm not going to do a Friday stream, since it is Friday now. This is that stream. Let's see. So, turn that off. And I think we'll just turn off our HUD. There we go. You can still see the light effects here, so we can turn off the lights as well. And that should make it a little bit easier to see. Let's also put this in expert mode. So you can see the, you can actually see in action the cool Nerney system that we have. So I've just left some like supporty clips that you can dock these into. So you could fit anything that'll fit into a supporty clip socket in those ones. Because this is based off of the Hyperion Sphere, it is based on that. We left these tanks in as RCS and oxygen. Let's see. Let's turn on deck F. Oh, right, and there's, I wonder if he's got, yes, light blockers had their own layer. Excellent work, Albin. So you have this engineering deck. It just has a little bit of storage, and some of these are not like the final version. Like, I think we'll probably get rid of some of these panels. See, we didn't have all of the colors on. You got your fusion core, and up on deck E, you got the top of it, you got your pellet feeder. Probably get rid of those pipes and make this a bit more busy with some additional features. Access by this hatch. It's a 2-parter. I love that little hatch, it prints really nice. You've got your controls there and some storage. Now we get to the exciting layer, which I think a lot of people have been asking about. So this is what I'm calling the belt. And it does change up the pattern. I believe technically, maybe we could add some additional clip holes here to make it compatible. But it might be the right size for the Valkyrie, to add it to the Valkyrie as well. If like we would need some open lock clip holes, but there's probably room. Again, print support free. I did make these little Nerney clips just with the handholds. These will be 3-parters, so they have a 2 open lock clip connector, one up, one down, and then the top and bottom will be separate. Doing it this way, you can actually have much longer tanks if you wanted to. Like, you could just repeat this deck. And you could actually technically mount another 2 tanks here, either side of this. I guess it's a dish of some kind, communications array. Let's see, maybe we don't need something called deck C hidden floors. Upper loft area of the I'm trying to think, cargo bay area. I don't think he's fully thought about how you get up here. It was my idea to take a few pieces off, and we did have to put the ladders in a certain place. So let's go to deck B. You got your living area. I really love what he did with this by integrating the kitchenette, sort of like adding a galley. This is all sort of temporary, mostly for rendering. And he put a little lamp on the table. I guess it looks kind of like a kettle or something. And some lockers and sleeping berths. So obviously we'll change this up a little bit before we're completely finished. Technically we could probably move some of this around a little so that, for example, you could still access these lockers. Possibly we'll have other variants. And then Deck A is pretty much identical to the Hyperion Sphere. It is completely compatible with the Hyperion Sphere. So if you've already got it printed, you could have the Hyperion Sphere bottom. Also, these have unique RCSs as well. They're slightly different, top and bottom ones. Let's get the tip top on. I love the asymmetry here. You have a top hatch if you need it. You have all of these Nerney solutions. Some of them are open lock clip based, multi-part antennas and whatnot. Others, these all print flat. You can kind of see here that the flat side is there. And this just means that the parts that we produce are much, much stronger. Whereas the coffee machine, the coffee machine's there. What are you talking about? It's right there. Relax, dude. See, he's even put the coffee colored. He made sure the cup looked like it had coffee in it. So no need to worry about that, okay? Got you covered. But here you can see the RCS kind of points in a different direction than it does in some versions. Anyway, that is that. I just wanted to show it off because we haven't seen it yet in 3D. All of these ships are really cool. I can't wait to get this printed. I can't wait to get them to you. I don't want coffee right now. I want to sleep. So I think I'm going to wrap up the stream. Thank you guys once again for the absolute awesome job of making it possible for us to fund all of the stretch goals we put out. Hit that 500,000 mark. Very much appreciated all that effort. Thank you for supporting us again. You really do help keep the lights on. I think this is a comfortable number that I can safely say we can, depending on how the meeting goes on Wednesday with the unnamed company in the role-playing space, I think this means there's a very good chance the next project will be Persephone. But I can't guarantee it yet, and especially not without resting a little bit. So I'm going to take the next few days off. I'll put out an update tomorrow with a big thank you to everyone else that couldn't make it today. And we'll be back next Friday with another live stream. So if you are on YouTube, please like and subscribe to be kept up to date whenever we put out a new stream or video. Alright guys, thanks for joining me. Have a wonderful week and weekend, and cheers.